if the US dollar crashes, or that would have a huge effect also on the treasuries, the 10-year treasury, and that's kind of the anchor of the whole financial system. Wouldn't that mean that the whole system comes apart even worse than during Lehman? And how would they try to keep all of this together?
Yes, I think the entire monetary system as we know it now is going to come to an end, right? And you know, because the way the monetary system works now is really the dollar is at the center of the whole thing, right? But before the current monetary system, the world was on a much sounder system where gold was at the center of it. And so all of the world's currencies were backed by gold. And so gold was money, and currencies, which were backed by that money, circulated, you know, as money substitutes, but they derived their value from the gold that backed it up. And so we had a very stable monetary system. Then the Federal Reserve, the US government, right, got the world to agree to hold dollars instead of gold. Because after all, America had all the gold, and you could take your dollars and get gold whenever you wanted. It was like a warehouse receipt for gold. And you could take those dollars and buy US treasuries and earn some interest, which you couldn't do with your gold. So you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have US treasuries that pay interest, but whenever you want, you can just, you know, redeem them for gold. So we got the world to move off the gold standard onto the dollar standard with the assurance that the dollar was as good as gold. Well, as soon as the world put their trust in us, we screwed them over. Right? We defaulted on our promise. Now that we got everybody holding dollars, oh, you can't get any gold. You know, we shut the gold window, so you're out of luck, right? It's like those checks are no good anymore. You know, we're not going to cash them. But you're free to hold on to them. You can do whatever you want with them. But the one thing you can't do is bring them back here to get real money, because we ain't giving you any. So, but
and that was in 71.
Right. And that
people 50 years it takes them to understand what happened.
Well, they still don't understand it. But what happened in the 70s is the dollar lost a lot of value, right? I mean, in the early 1970, you got four marks for the dollar. By the end of the 70s, it was $1.50 marks, right? You got 360 Japanese yen for the dollar. By 1980, it was down to like 150, right? You know, the Swiss franc, I think, was like 20 cents in 1970. It was like 75 cents, right? Or 80 maybe. You know, of course, it's higher now, but that was a big drop during the 1970s. And in prices, oil went from $3 a barrel to $30 a barrel, right? Everything went up because the dollar lost value. But then it stopped falling. You know, Volcker came in, jacked interest rates up. The dollar kind of stabilized, you know. And then the world forgot about the reason that they held the dollar in the first place, meaning that it was backed by gold, and they started to hold it just because they can get good interest on it. And so then we have this new monetary system where every currency had dollars as reserves. Well, we've abused that dramatically by printing way too much dollars, and our whole economy, we went from the world's biggest creditor nation to the world's biggest debtor. You know, we went from the huge manufacturing surplus. You know, we used to be the high quality, low cost manufacturer of pretty much everything, you know, that we now import. We used to export cars, consumer electronics. I mean, we made it all in America. And so all that has changed. And so when the dollar crashes, this monetary system doesn't work. And so what's going to replace it? The only thing to me that seems viable is a return to the gold standard, just to go back to the way it was before the dollar, because it doesn't make sense to say, okay, the dollar didn't work, let's replace it with the euro. Why?
Before we continue, help us by smashing that YouTube like button and subscribe now to this channel. This shows the algorithm that you value the information, and it helps us spread this message. Sharing is caring. Please like and subscribe now. Thank you. And now, let's continue.
I mean, what's so good about the euro? It's just another piece of paper. The yen, nobody, they're not going to just say, we just saw the dollar collapse, and now we're going to take another fiat currency and we're going to build a monetary system based on it. Well, why won't it? It doesn't make any sense. The only thing that would work would be, okay, we were on a gold standard for a long time, it worked. We went on this dollar standard, it's a disaster, go back to the gold standard. That's the only thing that makes sense.
But it worked until the 70s, then it stopped to work.
No, it didn't stop working. We stopped using it. The problem was we went off the gold standard. See, the U.S. government had a choice in 1970. It could have stayed on the gold standard, but it would have had to cut government spending. The gold standard works for the people. It doesn't work for the government. If the government's goal is to constantly get bigger and bigger and buy the votes of the public by creating inflation, then the gold standard doesn't work. It's like, think of the gold standard as a chaperone, right? And so if you're going to a high school prom, you don't like the chaperone. You want to get drunk. The chaperone is the older person that makes sure that nobody does anything bad, right? No drinking, no sex. It's like, we're going to make sure that it's a orderly
party.
Right. So from the kids' perspective, they don't like the chaperone. But the parents, they love the chaperones. They want to make sure that their 17-year-old daughter, she's going to a party, she's not going to get all drunk and everyone's going to take advantage of her. There's going to be a chaperone, right? So the people should like a gold standard because it keeps the government honest. But the government is like the high school kids. They don't want the chaperone. They want to just print money and run deficits. And so it's not that the gold standard didn't work. It was working perfectly. That's why they abandoned it, right? Yeah. They basically killed the chaperone. Yes, just not at the old rate. So when we went off the gold standard in 1971, an ounce of gold was $35. Now we devalued a couple times. So I think the last official gold price was like $42. And that's where it is, right? So we could return to a gold standard, just not $42 an ounce, right? So we can return to a gold standard maybe at $20,000 an ounce. I don't know what the price would have to be, but that price keeps going up as we keep printing more money. The price that gold would need to be just keeps getting higher and higher. But it can easily be done. You can look at a lot of countries that have had currencies that have failed, right? Like in South America or whatever. What do they end up doing? Whenever they reintroduce a new currency, they always have to peg it to the dollar, let's say, to give people confidence that, okay, the old currency is worthless, but the new one is going to be pegged to the dollar. Yeah, you have to have something to reinstill the confidence that was lost. And so if the dollar crashes, you have to figure out how to reinstill confidence. And so that
peg it to Bitcoin.
No, Bitcoin's not going to create any confidence. Bitcoin will probably crash before the dollar. So that is the ultimate confidence game, right? Bitcoin is all sheer. What is Bitcoin worth? Nothing. Oh, but why do people want to buy it? Because they think it's going to go up. Well, if people stop thinking that, no one's going to want to buy it. You can't do anything with it. You can't use it for anything. It has no substance. It has no utility. The one thing that Bitcoin has in common with the US dollar is that neither has any real value, any intrinsic value. But at least the dollar is a unit of account. It's a medium of exchange. It's not really a store of value, but over short periods of time, it stores value minute to minute, hour to hour, day, a little bit. But Bitcoin could evaporate overnight.
What to do in such a situation? Inform yourself and keep your financial education strong. We from the Compact Group offer our loyal subscribers a free educational portal with first-hand monetary, financial, and economic knowledge. Enter our invite-only Insider Club by clicking the link below. You will get access to first-class information far earlier than the rest. We have prepared a special deal for all our members where you can access a giant pool of Robert Kiyosaki's financial wisdom for just $1. To find out more, simply click the link below and join our Insider Club absolutely free. But there is more you can and should do. Build up several streams of income. More and more people realize that they have to take their future in their own hands, but they don't know how and where to start. We from Compact offer our Insider Club members unique opportunities. Strengthen your financial muscle and get the edge. Click the link below. Become part of our free Insider Club. No financial obligations. But there's one important thing you have to know. You have to become active. So do it now. Become active and see you on the other side.